the ground of international affairs. A Dickinsonian considers no story or perspective complete without examining the broader global picture. In elementary school, I recall staring wide-eyed at the bright political map of the world hanging on the classroom wall and wondering how countries could be contained and defined by those 8-inch thick black lines alone. How did the pale yellow Nigeria not spill over into the orange Cameroon? And who lived on the border? Over time, I learned that the world obviously does not work the way a laminated classroom map would have us believe. The intricacies of our world, with endless interconnectedness of histories, cultures, economies, and perspectives, are indeed a challenge to chart and untangle. At the center of my interest is Russia, a geographically vast country spanning 2 continents and existing as a state and a culture within both. It is a country marked by a distinctive duality and to this day remains unrestrained by those 8-inch thick black lines. Thus, when I arrived at Dickinson 4 years ago, I leapt at the chance to learn the most I could about this place and these people that I knew the least about. One of the authors I encountered during my Russian studies at Dickinson is Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Truly a global thinker ahead of his time, Solzhenitsyn spent more than 8 years in the Gulag labor camps for expressing anti-Stalinist sentiment. Despite the fact that he lived the majority of his days essentially cut off from the rest of the world, Solzhenitsyn still recognized the importance of a balanced global perspective. He wrote, "Обладаете то, что можете носить с собой. Знайте языки, знайте страны, знайте народы. Пусть память станет чемоданом," which translates as, "Own only what you can carry with you. No languages, no countries, no people. Let memory be your travel bag." From the day I received my acceptance letter to Dickinson in that iconic big red envelope, I could not wait to pack my bags. I began making lists, picking out dorm room decor, and wondering how it would all fit in the car, but little did I know that what I would carry with me for the next 4 years had nothing to do with what was in my suitcase. In the summer before our first year at Dickinson, the Silberman-Robb Presidential Commission on Weapons of Mass Destruction confirmed that it had been wrong in its pre-war judgments, and bombs exploded in the London subways. I wanted to say to many of my peers, "Wake up and look around you. You're living in this big American bubble." Upon arriving at Dickinson, it quickly became clear to us that engaging the world meant seeking to dispel our antiquated views and finding new perspectives. I sought to accomplish this by enrolling in Russian 101. There, I was thrilled to meet 2 terrific professors, Christopher Lemlin and Yelena Dush, and several other students whose enthusiasm for taking on the challenge of the Russian language were matched only by their dedication. Having learned the Cyrillic alphabet, mastered the basics of Russian, and suffered through the torment of learning genitive case plurals, I began to wonder, what next? Many of us chose to step even farther out of the zone of that which was familiar and easy by studying abroad. For a summer and 1 semester, I studied in Moscow, Russia. The experience of living with a host mother and seeing life in the maddening capital up close reaffirmed my belief that the path of least resistance is neither the most rewarding nor the most fun. For example, you do not know what arbitrary truly is until you have run up a down escalator at rush hour in the Moscow metro. Dickinson taught me that taking on a challenge with an open mind and proactive attitude is the best way to truly engage the world. On a particularly frosty afternoon in Moscow, I wandered into, where else, McDonald's. The novelty of a McDonald's in Russia had long since worn off on me, and I was simply looking to kill some time before class. As usual, the restaurant was brimming with students, businessmen, and the regular customer, a babushka with a Coca-Cola. I sat down at a table where a woman and her daughter were quietly eating and pulled out an English language newspaper. The woman next to me touched my hand and asked in Russian if her daughter could practice English with me for a bit. "Конечно," of course I replied. After reviewing how to introduce oneself in English and pointing around the restaurant to establish names for different colors, we lapsed back into Russian. Over the next 20 minutes, I learned that the pair had recently emigrated from Georgia and were having a really tough time in Moscow. They shared with me, a total stranger in a busy Moscow McDonald's, how disorienting it was to be in a new place that is not exactly welcoming. We laughed as we joked about the difficulty of finding a chair in McDonald's at lunchtime and commiserated over pets left behind in another country. The girl was excited to see her dog again, as they planned to move back to Georgia in a few weeks, since her mother's attempts to find better paying work in Moscow had been unsuccessful. The woman asked what I intended to do with my Russian language skills. At the time, I was still unsure, but told them that I wanted to do something to improve communication between my country and Russia. The young girl said that she hoped to do just the same. Whenever I read about the Russian conflict in Georgia last August, or see shells exploding over Tbilisi on the nightly news, I remember the faces of my McDonald's acquaintances, and my desire to engage the world in a manner that promotes peace among nations is only increased. While the members of the class of 2009 have studied abroad in dozens of countries, including Russia, China, Mexico, Italy, India, Scotland, and Brazil, we are united by our common experiences as global thinkers of Dickinson College. We completed the cycle of engaging the world by setting out not only to take from the world, but to give, and not just to learn from another place, but to share our perspectives with people both halfway around the globe and as close to home as the surrounding Carlisle community. 4 years and one economic crisis later, we recognize that our paths are not certain. We are not, however, unprepared for the future. As we pack up our physical belongings, we find that we have already packed for ourselves another kind of suitcase. Each of us here today has developed an enviable kit of not just memorable experiences, but useful tools. It is my greatest hope that we will dream, yet strive to understand and untangle the intricacies of our world. We must, as Solzhenitsyn truly own that which we can carry with us. Know languages. Know the countries and places you have studied and experienced. Know people who will continue to challenge and inspire you. Let memory be your travel bag.